The Indiana Hoosiers defeat the Oregon Ducks 56-22. At halftime, it was 35 to, what was it, 35-7. At halftime there. And I mean, after, I would say, the first quarter and a half, you just knew this game was over. Or Indiana had the lead. They were completely outplaying Oregon in this one. I mean, Oregon had, I can say outplayed Oregon in this one. Oregon came back and played better in the second half, and they, made it a little bit more respectable, and their offense came alive a little bit more. But Dante Moore just could not handle what Indiana was doing to him in this game. And then you saw the miscommunication, a running back in there. And I believe it was Jaden Lamar that forced that fumble on Dante Moore. He's played this season. He, was injured a little bit too, but just an unfortunate situation there for Oregon with the turnovers. D'Angelo Pons made a fantastic play on that very first play of the game. Zach, what were your thoughts on the game here?
Yeah, I think Indiana deserves a ton of props. And this is something you texted to me. So this is John's idea, not mine. You cannot make mistakes against a team that doesn't make mistakes. So I'm going to give you credit for that because you said that. You texted that to me. And I think that is if you were going to have a main point of what happened in this game, Indiana did not make mistakes. Oregon made tons of them. And a couple of them were forced by Indiana. Several of them were self-inflicted. You can't win football games that way. And Indiana is the type of team that will make you pay for every mistake you make. And that's what they did. And you know what? Even when Indiana did make a mistake, like Mendoza, is well out of reach at this point, but Mendoza trying to get extra yardage. He fumbles the ball and Pat Coogan falls on it because of course he does. Preserving their not losing a fumble in like 974 snaps at this point. That epitomizes this game to me. Even if Indiana did make a mistake, it didn't matter. And they don't make them. And Oregon made too many. And you can't beat the Hoosiers that way.
Well, and most of all, you can't beat the Hoosiers by not stopping the run. The Hoosiers ran for 185 yards in this one. Sack adjusted, they have 205 yards, 5.3 yards per carry. I mean, Oregon didn't run the ball terribly. They had 5.1 yards per carry, sack adjusted. So, you take out the sacks there. If you included the sacks, now that does include like 71-yard run by Deerhill Jr. Yep. That helps that average out there. So you take out the 71-yard run. That's 40. That's like 46 yards or something like that, sack adjusted. Yeah. So definitely need to consider that. But overall, like that's what the stats said. That's what you had in the game. So. I think the key factor in this one for Oregon was that Dante Moore was uncomfortable. It looked like that Oregon offensive line did not learn from what happened last time, and it looked like Indiana was continuing to throw new stuff at him. I don't know how Indiana is continuing to confuse offensive lines the entire season with what they're able to do, but it's just a testament to Bryant Haynes and how good of a defensive coordinator he is and how good they are, how well they are able to disguise everything that they do as well. I mean, this is a very good offensive line for Oregon. Now they had some injuries in the second half. Isaiah World wasn't in there. I believe their right guard was the one who was not in there as well, but you could argue the offensive line play was better in the second half than it was in the first half. So very, very interesting stuff. Very unfortunate for Oregon in this one. That's 2 years in a row where they get blown out in the playoffs, and Oregon fans are kind of licking their wounds a little bit here. Sucks for them. But overall, I mean, I have supreme confidence in this Indiana team going up against Miami. We'll do a kind of like an early look preview with that kind of stuff here in just a little bit. But there was nothing I really saw in this game against Oregon that I'm like, ooh, I have concerns about that. Oregon's offense moved the ball a little bit in the second half, but there's nothing really I have concerns about this Indiana team coming out of this game. They just executed every single way and looked fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the yardage, a lot of the yards for Oregon was coming when Indiana was probably playing a little bit more prevent. It's in the second half. where you're just trying not to give up the big play. And again, they had a 71-yarder. You take that 71-yard play out, only 307 yards in this game for Oregon. I think I know it's not sack adjusted, but 25 carries for 22 yards. If you take out the 71-yard run, and I get it. There's sacks in there, but listen, Indiana's gonna sack the quarterback. And I just think you've got to tip your cap to this defense. You know, someone's, I think it was our guy, Chris, PSU 2024, you know, saying Brian Haynes did just as good a job as Sig. I mean, that's not hyperbole. Like, Oregon has legit dudes. And here's part of going to Miami a little bit. Oregon has much more firepower. They can beat you deep. They can beat you short. They can beat you intermediate. Miami really can't. And Oregon couldn't do anything.
Well, sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
I was going to say, and that's a scary proposition.
And Oregon's defense has shown they are able to stop the pass all season long. You know, we were just talking about after the Ole Miss Miami game that Miami is going to have some issues in the secondary, right? Xavier Lucas is going to be out in the first half of that game. That is super meaningful. I mean, there's a lot of games out there you would say, okay, that sucks. Like maybe you get down a little bit. I would not be surprised at all if against Miami, Indiana goes out there and they're up 35-7 because they just put it on Miami early, and Miami's pass defense isn't able to take this away. Like I think a lot of people are going to come away from this game and say, actually, you know what? Oregon played pretty well in these areas, and it was just Dante Moore. And while I agree with that in some areas that Oregon did play well, in some areas in a lot of the early issues were Dante Moore, this is not a game where you look at the stats. Like Oregon outgained Indiana 378 yards to 362. People are going to look at this game and say, well, you know, Indiana, they weren't as efficient on offense when they had the ball off those turnovers, so maybe Miami's able to stop them. Miami's only going to be able to stop Indiana if they're able to stop the run. Oregon did, you know, a pretty good job of that at times this game. Indiana ran for 4.6 yards per carry the entire game, but overall, like, I'm with you. I don't think Miami has the offense that Oregon does in this one. And I don't think Miami has the pass defense Oregon does. That was the most incredible thing, is that this is the best pass defense in the nation, probably outside of Indiana, I guess, you know, that Oregon has. And Fernando Mendoza went 17 of 20, 3 incompletions on the day, 5 touchdown passes on the day. Like, we kind of go crazy when Julian Sain did that a couple times this year. We didn't go crazy, but we definitely acknowledged it. We have to acknowledge it this time as well, because it was such a small sample size, but Fernando Mendoza was still able to get 177 passing yards, 5 touchdown passes, 85% completion percentage. Like, I don't know how you stop that.
Yeah,
and Charlie Becker too. I don't know how you stop Charlie Becker. This dude's a sophomore, was not recruited by anybody. He has the length. He has the ball skills. He's able to go up there. He's tough. He's physical. He fights through contact every single time. I love this Charlie Becker guy. I don't love that he flipped off Ohio State at the end of the game, but if I look at the play, I love this guy. He's phenomenal. And he's coming back next year. That's the craziest thing about it. Like, a lot of people say, oh, Indiana, you know, average age of starters, 23, 24. Okay, sure, but they still got a lot of guys that are coming back next year as well. It's not just that they have old guys on their team. They do. You know, Pat Coogan, older guy. Fernando Mendoza, well, I think he's a redshirt junior or a junior or something, so he is an upperclassman. But, like, you can say a lot of that stuff, but you still got guys like Tyreek Tucker, like I said, Charlie Becker, Omar Cooper Jr. can come back next year. It's just ridiculous. Sorry, I cut you off when you were starting.
No, it's good. I just, for one, I want to recognize just Alta 58043. As a Duck fan, I'm humbled. Oregon played the worst game in years. I'm rooting for Indiana next week. I love it when fans who, like, you know, come on and you know, talking their stuff, but then say, hey, I was wrong about this. Kudos to you for coming on the show and for saying, hey, I was wrong about this. I think that sports discussion is always better when you can admit you're wrong. So like, I just want to highlight that. I appreciate you doing that, Alta. I really do.
Agreed.
Can we talk about Elijah Surratt for a minute?
I mean, him too, man. Can anybody out there stop those back shoulder fades that they were throwing at the beginning of the game? Like they had pass interference on that one, and he still caught it.
Like what coverage? I mean, it was great coverage every time. It was great, except the touchdown, the first touchdown that he barely got the ball across. But every time it's great coverage, and he's like when he's covered, he's not covered. Like those back shoulders are amazing. The one out route that Mendoza threw to Charlie Becker too. I remember I was watching it with friends. I'm like, it's unguardable because of where Mendoza places the ball, where it's thrown to, and where the out route goes. I don't know how they do it, except for they're just amazing at coaching the concepts. But I just I haven't seen this. And we know that it's coming. You know that they're going to throw back shoulder fades. They're going to do it. And the other team knows it too. And they cannot stop it. Surratt's he's just a boss, man. He's so good.
It's like that SpongeBob meme where he opens up the flute and it's like Old Faithful. I just need a picture of Fernando Mendoza throwing a back shoulder fade to Elijah. Like if the offense is ever in trouble, break out Old Faithful.
There you go.
Let's get the back shoulder fade going because that's going to get the offense going right away. And I'm not saying that the offense wasn't going in this game. I'm just saying if Indiana's offense ever gets in trouble, they know exactly what to get to. Another thing I noticed with Indiana in this one, and then we can move on and talk the Miami matchup early on. You look at the advanced stats in this one, and everything favored Indiana. I mean, Indiana's field position rate, the number of the percentage of plays that they ran on the opponent's side of the 50-yard line, 58% in this game. 58% of the plays that Indiana ran were on Oregon's side of the 50-yard line. Indiana was 11 of 14 on third down conversions. You want to know why? Because an average distance of 4.3. Kirk Cignetti knows exactly how to get his team in third and favorable situations time and time again. And when Oregon was in short yardage situations, the Indiana defense was phenomenal. Oregon was 8 of 13 on third down in this one. So, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say Oregon didn't do a good job on third down because they did. I mean, 61.5% is really good against this Indiana team. But they were also in third in distance. Their average distance was 7.5. So you had a difference of 4.3 for Indiana, 7.5 for Oregon. That's huge. And, early on in this game, I had my realization that, everything Indiana does, it's just yep, that should happen. That looks easy. Everything Oregon does that works for them, it's this looks really difficult. The one time they stopped Indiana on offense, I was like, okay, glad they got that for them. But I'm not saying I'm glad they got that. I'm saying that's good they got that, but that looks really, really difficult to do. I don't know if they're going to be able to continue to do that time and time again.
Yep. Yeah.
So, all right.